Welcome to Mass Financial Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. I'll be off for a couple of days, Thursday and Friday. I'll tell you about that momentarily. President Mahama's in Nairobi to observe the critical August 8 election for the Commonwealth. He's praying for a successful and peaceful election, as we all are. I look forward to catching up with him hopefully today. Macro thoughts. The euro has surged 3.6% versus the dollar in July, the most since March 2016, and is up almost 11% since the start of April. It's been a humongous rally. I'd like to think I called it pretty early. That said, euro bulls are full of confidence. Risk reversals, a measure of demand for euro calls relative to puts, are around an 8-year high for 3-month tenors, a period that includes the next Federal Reserve and ECB meetings. Euro net longs are hovering around the highest since 2011 among hedge funds and other large speculators, Commodity Futures Trading Commission data show. Look, everyone's looking for 120, we might get there, but I personally think we're due a retracement back to key levels of 114.50. How that's going to happen, we're going to discover, I think. Look at this from Charlie Bilello. This is Trump's approval rating versus the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Greenspan says there's no bubble in stocks, but look out when bonds pop. He's not right. This is something I wrote about in September 2016 when I said mirrors on the ceiling, the pink champagne on ice. When words become unclear, I shall focus with photographs. When images become inadequate, I shall be content with silence. Ansel Adams. Then I saw this quote of Zelda Fitzgerald to her husband Scott Fitzgerald in 1919. Don't you think I was made for you? I feel like you had me ordered and I was delivered to you to be worn. I'm so looking forward to spending a couple of nights at my favorite place in the Masai Mara. Well, the Fairmont Mara is just outside the reserve in a conservancy. See much more incredibly in that conservancy, and it's a solitary experience as opposed to the Mara where hundreds of vehicles will descend on you. And the actual position of the Mara is at a bend in the river. And this is the photograph of the area where we stay. I rather like the idea that it was once owned by Tiny Rowland. I'll never forget Tiny Rowland because I used to see him in person several times. His son was at school with me at Westminster, and at a time when I got pocket money of £5 a week, which was more than enough, his father used to give him 50, which was quite an impressive figure. This is the bed at the Mara Fairmont, and surely encourages some Fairmont moments. And this is a photograph I took July last year, Buffalo Country. This was just near the Fairmont. Another picture on a journey into the actual reserve. We came across these zebras drinking some water. Rather wonderful scene it was too. I'm still amazed at the response people gave me to this idea that nearly half of the atoms that make up our bodies may have formed beyond the Milky Way and traveled to the solar system on intergalactic winds driven by giant exploding stars. Science is very useful for finding our place in the universe, said Daniel Angles Alcazar, an astronomer at Northwestern University. In some sense, we are extragalactic visitors or immigrants in what we think of as our galaxy. Political reflection. Xi shores up power with demand for army obedience and foreign respect. President Xi Jinping has vowed China will never swallow the bitter fruit of foreign meddling or invasion in his latest move to assert his authority ahead of a key political summit, marking the end of his first 5-year term. In a 50-minute speech at Beijing's Great Hall of the People, the Mao-era arena of Communist Party rule, Xi told members of the military their calling was not as an aggressive or expansionist force. The Chinese people love peace, but we have the confidence to defeat all invasions. We will never allow any people, organization, or political party to split any part of Chinese territory out of the country at any time, in any form, Xi said to loud applause. No one should expect us to swallow the bitter fruit that is harmful to our sovereignty, security, or development interests. Xi Jinping, in my opinion, his orbit of control continues to advance inexorably, in my opinion. Venezuela's security agents seize opposition leaders from their homes. These are photographs from Reuters. Back to Hunter S. Thompson, The Edge. There is no honest way to explain it, because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who have gone over. I've been writing about Venezuela for a while. It's been a road wreck coming. You could see it. It took just one day for Venezuelan President Maduro to make his authoritarian intentions clear, says Bloomberg. On the 8th of May this year, I said Nicolas Maduro's Venezuela is at breaking point. This is what a breaking point looks like. Venezuela's black market Bolivar is in free fall. Have a look at that from David Inglis. And then have a look at this of 10-year bond yields, dollar bond yields. Japan, 0.06%. Bond yield, 10-year bond yields. Germany, 0.49. US, 2.26. Australia, 2.68. India, 6.44. Argentina, 13.2. Venezuela, 32.1. Have a look at this photograph of Mosul's Maidan district, where the last militants were corralled by Iraqi security forces. It looks like a desert. Kelly made clear he would be unafraid to say no to Trump or anyone else, and an administration official says. So, a lot of excitement that we finally brought some discipline to the White House. But, ultimately the indiscipline is emitted from the CEO, the president. That misleading statement, penned by Donald Trump Jr. on the Russia meeting, was actually dictated by his dad. And I thought to myself, to get stuffed by your dad, and he could go to prison for it. Apple shares hit fresh records following Q2 numbers. Apple's cash pile has reached a new record of $261.5 billion, up $4.67 billion quarter on quarter. They saw a revival in iPhone and iPad sales, according to the FT. Continued recovery in iPhone sales after last year's declines, as it posted a 7% increase in revenues for its most recent quarter, and forecast a better than expected performance in the 3 months to September. The latest quarter also saw the iPad return to growth for the first time in more than 3 years, up 15% in unit terms, driven by March's introduction of a new lower price model and an update to its Pro tablets in June. Shares in Apple were up by more than 6% after hours, taking the stock to a new all-time high above $159. Apple's overall revenues for the June quarter were $45.4 billion, with iPhone sales up 2% to 41 million units. Earnings per share beat forecasts at $1.68 as net income grew 12% to $8.7 billion. Looking ahead to its fiscal fourth quarter, Apple said revenues would be in the range of $49 to $52 billion, a rise of between 5 and 11% year on year. But clearly everyone is keenly awaiting the new iPhone. And that obviously is a game changer depending upon its success or failure. It's assuming it's going to be incredibly successful. China was very weak. Wall Street is betting Amazon's push into groceries will be bad news for the packaged food industry. And this is Jeff Bezos' muscle. Look at the collapse in valuations of the companies. Even before he makes his move. Let's move on to the currency markets. Euro dollar 118.23, dollar index 93, Japanese yen softer 110.71, Swiss franc 0.9661, the pound 132.12, Australian dollar 0.7965, India rupee 64.115, South Korean won 11.2404, seemingly untroubled by the heating up on the peninsula. Brazilian real 3.1262, Egyptian pound 17.85, South African rand 13.2489. Dollar index needs to regain that 93.50 level, but I'm not so convinced that this relentless sell-off in the dollar is not going to halt and reverse, if not momentarily. But it's down 11% year to date. That's a big drop. And I was thinking to myself, as I'm wont to do, that actually we've got a clear view now of the political risk being emitted out of Washington. And one could argue that that's now been priced in. I don't know what else we can have that's going to surprise us. Euro versus the dollar, 118.20. A lot of people looking for 118.80 right now. Commodity markets, US crude settled at $49.16, down 2.01%, having been down about 3% at one point. We're now at $48.85. Retreated from above $50, fell 2% on Tuesday, the first decline in more than a week. The balance of signals suggests the market has put in a near-term top. That's Goldman Sachs. Gold, last time I looked, 1266. It doesn't seem to have the big mo at the moment. Very interesting article about coconuts, water, milk, or shampoo. Coconuts versatility stokes planting boom. Coconuts seem to be everywhere these days, whether as water in PepsiCo Inc.'s naked drink range, as milk in Starbucks Corp's coffees, as shampoo in L'Oreal's products, or even as a patty in Beyond Meat's vegan burgers. The tropical fruit has captured new markets with a growing reputation as a healthy, natural product. The popularity has been a boon for prices, with the cost of coconut oil more than doubling since its low in 2013. Output of copra, the dried coconut meat that's used to make coconut oil, will jump more than 30% in the decade to 2026 as yields in the biggest growers rebound, according to a July 10 report by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The international market is not only buying the oil, which they purify into cooking oil, they've also found out uses for virgin coconut oil, coconut water, and those kinds of derivative products from coconut, which are very good for people, that they've positioned for an organic healthy lifestyle. One package offers a high-energy food, a versatile oil, a nutrient-rich water, and koi, a fiber that's used to make rope and bedding. And that's all contained in a watertight package that helps it spread across the globe's tropical regions from the Philippines to the Caribbean. Coconut palms start bearing fruit about 5 years after planting. Prices of coconut oil had a closing peak of $2,027 a ton this year, from a low of $745 a ton. Sales of PepsiCo's naked juice and coconut waters reached more than $1 billion last year. Jamba Inc. has introduced Colada fruit smoothies made with coconut water, while in Malaysia, Nestle launched a coconut-flavored coffee mix. Food manufacturers are also rolling out new products such as Beyond Meat vegan burgers made with coconut oil, Dairy Crest Group's PLC's dairy-free coconut spread, McCormick & Co.'s coconut milk cooking sauces, and Mondelez International's savory crackers made with dried coconut. It's an incredible story, very delicious. I love coconut water. Got to look into this and avocados. I think I'm missing something. I've got to work out how to sort of insert myself into those economic ecosystems, I think. The yield on short-term bonds issued by Venezuela's state oil company have reached 152%. Consumer price growth in developing economies eased to 3.1% in June, the lowest since the depths of the financial crisis. This story of the lack of inflation. China has formally opened its first overseas military base in Djibouti with a flag-raising ceremony the same day as the People's Liberation Army marks its 90th birthday, state media said. Djibouti's position on the northwestern edge of the Indian Ocean has fueled worry in India that it would become another of China's string of pearls, military alliances and assets ringing India, including Bangladesh, Myanmar and Sri Lanka. The Indians are right to be worried. Malawi has issued an arrest warrant for its former President Joyce Banda over alleged abuse of office and money laundering offences. Congo, this is the Republic, not the DRC. Republic of Congo misses Eurobond payment as government contractor chases unpaid bills. Second African country this year to miss Eurobond payment after a contractor alleging the government owes it money blocked the transfer of funds to debt investors, holders of the Central African nation's $363 million of securities due in 2029 did not receive around $21 million in coupons and amortization payments by the end of July, when the grace period expired, according to Lutz Roymeyer, money manager at Landesbank Berlin Investment. Two other bondholders who do not want to be identified as they aren't authorized to speak about the matter also said that they hadn't been paid. The government paid the funds to the Eurobond trustee Delaware Trust Company in June, but the transfer to the investors was blocked by a restraining order obtained by Commission's Import-Export SA, Moody's said on July 28. The ratings company downgraded Congo to CAA2 from B3 and said a default was imminent, but at least they showed willingness to pay that. I think that's not being reflected in the price. Mozambique is trying to restructure its external debts after it defaulted on $727 million worth of Eurobonds in January. Very interesting piece in the Monitor in Uganda. Museveni okayed Crane Bank closure, says the central bank governor Mutable. You would be mad to do such a thing, closing a bank without briefing him, the president, on such an important action. He, Museveni, said, go ahead, the governor told his newspaper in an interview on Sunday. And then it had some interesting stuff about Mr. Kantaria. Mr. Kantaria is also the prime shareholder in the prime bank over here and was also apparently a shareholder in Crane Bank. Africa plays catch-up was the headline of an article I wrote on the 15th of May. And South African all-share, which is up 9.35% so far this year, closed a record all-time closing high yesterday. The rand is softer at 13.27, but the key level to keep an eye on is 13.40. Egyptian pound at 17.85. Shares in Nigeria's Dangote Cement rose 7.3% on Tuesday. He sold 416 million shares in Dangote Cement to foreign investors. The Nigerian all shares up 36.64% so far this year. The Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index is up 33.32% so far this year. Kenya elections, our forecast, this is from NKC Africa, is for a first round Kenyatta win. I tend to agree with that. But it is a tight race, and three polls are showing it tightening up. 5 days to the polls, President Kenyatta, opposition chief Raila Odinga are locked in a dead heat that may lead to a runoff. Three separate polls by three different pollsters suggest. The general election is on Tuesday. Surveys released yesterday show Raila has dramatically closed the gap with Uhuru in the last few weeks. InfoTrack, they typically always favour the opposition, indicates the ex-Prime Minister would lead the presidential contest. Radio Africa Research Department indicates Raila has gained 2 percentage points over 2 weeks. Uhuru has lost a similar margin over a fortnight. And then on July 19, a similar poll by Radio Africa gave Uhuru 49% and Raila 44%. But this is interesting. In polls, in a poll 2 weeks ago, Uhuru was the young people's favourite. According to IEBC statistics, there are 9.9 million registered voters aged between 18 and 34. This means that youths will have huge influence in the race for State House. And this was the point I was making. my article from the 31st of July when I said the youth turnout is key to this election. Al Jazeera has an article about the murder that shook the Kenya elections. The murder of Musando is a deeply troubling development, said John Githongo. Bloomberg Businessweek has a very interesting piece. The last thing Kenya's economy needs is a chaotic election. That piece, if you go to Rich Wrap-Ups, because otherwise you've got to register, is up on the website. And this goes back to something I wrote on the 3rd of July when I said the real economy needs a transparent process, a first round result, and a gracious loser. That's the ask. Britain's SFO has opened an investigation into BAT, particularly around their behaviour here in East Africa. The company said in a statement it intends to cooperate with the investigation and traded lower yesterday at the NSE. Nairobi All Share, finally, the proximity of the election came through. The All Share corrected 1.86% lower. It remains up 18.76% year to date. NSE 20 corrected 1.45% lower. That's up 17.46% year to date. But as I previously said, this is part of an Africa-wide bull phenomenon. And we can get into the reasons of that bull phenomenon at another time. But it was liquidity came into emerging markets. We saw a lot of that pile in spill over into frontier markets around May. And if you go back to May and you look what's happened, there's been a humongous run-up from the lows that we had then. I wish you, a long weekend, and I'll connect up on Monday. Obviously, we remain in a fluid time. We've got the election. But I think the President has probably done enough here to carry the day.